We have signed an asset transfer agreement with Tata Steel for their Ferro alloys plant in Kalinganagar. Along with our existing capacity, and we are also putting up a greenfield project in Kalinganagar. Our existing capacity plus the greenfield project plus the acquisition takes our total capacity beyond 500,000 tons per annum mark. We are investing heavily as well as focusing on state-of-the-art operations. Plus, we have undertaken a major exercise at the moment towards digitalization and eventually adopting AI. So all of this, will come into play. As you know, we have announced that we have signed an asset transfer agreement with Tata Steel for their Ferro alloys plant in Kalinganagar. So this is for total 99 MVA capacity, which is ultimately capable of producing 150,000 tons per annum of ferrochrome. And this is for a base consideration of 610 crores. And there will be some adjustments for net working capital, which we expect to be another 50 odd crores or so, which will be decided on the date of closure. So along with our existing capacity, and we are also putting up a greenfield project in Kalinganagar. So along our existing capacity plus the greenfield project plus the acquisition takes our total capacity beyond 500,000 tons per annum mark, or 500,000 tons, which is very significant, making us the largest producer in India and the sixth largest globally. So from a strategic perspective, it fits in very well because our greenfield project is very close to the acquisition. So that brings a lot of synergies in operations. And from a cost savings perspective, we are logistically, this works out much better, being closer to the mines, closer to the customer base, etc. And if we look at exports, then close to Paradip port. So all of this taken together makes it a very significant acquisition. We have been in, a leading producer of ferrochrome in the country, and this catapults us to the pole position, so to say.
So are there any plan to adopt new technology when it comes to the plant? What is the, going forward, how is it going to plan out?
So, while the core technology relating to ferroalloys production has not really changed, but there is a lot of, peripheral areas where a lot of technological advancements are there, and we are investing heavily as well as focusing on state-of-the-art operations. Plus, we have undertaken a major exercise at the moment towards digitalization and eventually adopting AI. So all of this, will come into play. But, clearly our focus has been on becoming, a producer of ferrochrome, recognized worldwide for our quality, for our reliability, and this is what we have worked on for a while now.
So you are a leading player in metal sector. What, according to you, is I want to ask you about the outlook for the metal sector in coming years. How is it evolving? Given that the metal sector is the backbone of India's industrial and manufacturing landscape, so according to you, how is it evolving in coming years?
So as you correctly said, the manufacturing sector in general and metals sector, both ferrous and non-ferrous in particular, is critical for any country's growth, and that is the same for India as well. As we grow rapidly and work towards becoming a developed nation, Viksit Bharat by 2047, I think it is very important to be self-reliant in these areas. And of course, self-reliance doesn't mean being isolated from the world. It means developing capabilities for the domestic market so that we, rely on our own strengths, but equally being part of global value chains. So from that point of view, I think, India is already a significant producer of steel. Stainless steel, which is the sector with which we are integrated, is, consumption is increasing as the economy modernizes, and there is a tremendous focus on infrastructure development. So all of this taken together, I believe, there is a bright future ahead. There, growth is never a straight line, so there will be some bumps along the way. But I'm a firm believer in India's manufacturing capabilities and the enabling policies which have been put together to attract investment and really put our capabilities to the forefront.
So you just mentioned about you cannot just restrict yourself with domestic consumption. You have to move out. There is a need for the global to involve with global supply chains. What is IMFA doing right now for that, and how is it going forward regarding
Right.
this?
So our present production of ferrochrome is roughly about 260,000 tons a year, give or take a little bit. And at the moment, we are primarily export oriented. About 90% of our ferrochrome is exported, and the rest goes into the domestic market. But with our greenfield plant coming up and the acquisition, we will be scaling up to 400,000 tons production in FY27, which will further go up to 475,000 tons by FY28. And we are going to orient more towards the domestic market. So in a couple of years' time, I expect to be about 60% exports and 40% domestic sales. And that's the reason for that being that the domestic market is growing rapidly. As I said, stainless steel consumption and therefore production is picking up significantly in line with the country's growth, in line with the focus on infrastructure development. And we, being the largest producer now, we certainly are looking to increase our market share both domestically while continuing to have that critical component of exports as well.
So critical mineral is a buzzword for today, and everywhere we are seeing there are attempts to secure the supply chains. But right now, what is the situation is that China dominates the majority of when it comes to majority of reserves when it comes to critical minerals. What is the implication for India regarding this, and what is your organization doing in that direction, like to ensure there are secure supply chains and we are not dependent on the one player? There are more players into it, and we have the proper supply of critical minerals.
So as you have correctly said, critical minerals and rare earth elements have a wide usage, from ordinary white goods all the way up to fighter aircraft and complex equipment. So it has a wide range of applications. And the facts speak for themselves at the moment, which is that China dominates the landscape, both in terms of reserves as well as in terms of processing capabilities. But having said that, a few years ago, FICCI, when I was heading the chamber, had done a study on critical minerals and rare earth elements, and we had put out some suggestions. Primarily, I think we need to enhance the level of exploration going on within the country. There have been exploration efforts which have indicated the presence of some of these essential elements in the country. I think we need to do more, and indeed the government is prioritizing exploration. Beyond that, clearly I think we have to lean on our relationships with other countries which have these reserves, and go out and get into forming joint ventures, etc. And there too, through organizations like Kabul and also by encouraging the private sector to look at exploration and joint ventures, etc. I think the path ahead is very clear. And specifically as far as IMFA is concerned, this is something which is adjacent to our abilities, because being in the business of processing industrial ores, of mining expertise, etc. So this is something that certainly is adjacent to our capabilities, and we are closely looking at some of these critical mineral blocks within the country which are coming up for auction. And where we find a strategic fit and we believe that we can add some, bring our expertise and our knowledge to bear, we would certainly like to take that up and move ahead.
So you rightly mentioned that there is a need to explore within the country, and we have the reserves, considerable reserve when it comes to chromium and nickel. But still there is a gap when it comes to processing and extraction. We do not have that much capacity that is needed, and that is in other countries. How do you view this gap, sir? And what is your organization doing to ensure this gap is available?
So specifically when it comes to chrome ore, the bulk of the resources are available in Odisha. So there has been a lot of effort towards proving these reserves and translating it into higher output. In our case specifically, we were mining about 6 lakh tons of ore per annum. And with a view to meet our enhanced requirements with this our expansion as well as acquisition, we will be stepping that up to about 12 lakh tons per annum. But again, I think it calls for concerted effort from all stakeholders to see that we explore and identify all available resources, natural resources within the country, and then look at how we can work on that to improve our self-reliance and give a boost to value addition and manufacturing sector within the country.
So there is we are a developing nation and we are production, manufacturing, but at the same time the focus is also on to produce clean energy, to have a transition into cleaner future, to have considering the climate change. How your organization is working in the direction to ensure that we have a clean future and pollution is reduced?
I think that's a very good question. One of the reasons for our growth has been a fully integrated business model where we rely on captive ore and own power generation. We were amongst the first in the country to set up a captive power plant, and today we have a little more than 200 megawatts of captive power generation, most of which is coal-based. But going ahead, as far as our expansion and acquisition is concerned, we are doing a pivot towards renewable energy and have earlier this year signed up with 2 leading renewable energy suppliers for 110 megawatts of hybrid renewable energy comprising solar and wind. And certainly we are working on reducing our carbon footprint. And as you said, it's not just growth that one is after, but sustainable growth.